Hello, namaskar everyone. The big breaking: India's economy has grown by 7.8%. Experts believed that India would do it in the quarter one, and India has done it. So, this GDP has been for the quarter April, May, and June. Recently, these numbers have come to the fore. That is why we are discussing it. Pooja Dwivedi UPSC is the name of my Telegram channel. Whatever I teach here will be available on this channel. Other than this, for Instagram, you can talk to me about UPSC examination if you have any doubts or queries. So, India's GDP has grown by 7.8% in quarter ending June. That means this data is for April, May, and June finally. And India's GDP has been growing, and it is one of the fastest growing economy. The National Statistical Office has published this data. It is under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. How do we get it? The quarterly GDP data is provided on the last working day of the second month after the reporting quarter. What does this mean? The reporting quarter was April, May, and June. And the second month to June is August. Last day of August is 31st. So this is how we get our data on a quarterly basis. India's GDP in the quarter one of the fiscal year 2024 grew by 7.8%. However, it is in difference to 13.1% in the same quarter last year. So earlier experts also predicted that 7.8% would be our growth rate for first quarter, which is an impressive rise from 6.1% that was for the ending quarter of March 2023. Meanwhile, the Reserve Bank of India said that it would be 8%. However, we are just 7.8%. For the current fiscal year, the RBI is saying that we are going to grow 6.5%. What is the reason behind this? High domestic demand. After COVID-19, the economy is getting back on track when it comes to getting its demand done. So more people are, asking for products, services, and energy. And this is all being matched by the private sector now. There is an emerging recovery in private investment because of low demand. Because of low demand, nobody would want to invest. So the government had to come into the picture for providing capital investment in various infrastructure projects so that employment could be created, so that money and liquidity could come into the economy. But now it is all coming back on track. According to the government's data, 8 key infrastructure sectors also grew to 8% in July 2023 from 4.8% in the same month of last year. That means July 2022. We are getting back on track. But the thing is that what about quarter two? See, we recently saw high inflation which surged to 7.4%. Now, the Monetary Policy Committee says that we have to keep our inflation within this range, 2% to 6%, considerably at 4%. But it was recently breached. We saw the rise in the prices of food related items, and that is why quarter two could be a little less. But let's see. This breach was for the first time ever in the current year. Similarly, we could see it for August as well. And India's rural demand has remained weak and vulnerable because of the erratic rainfall. Rainfall didn't happen as it's supposed to be for the entire monsoon, and this has been caused by El Nino. The El Nino effect has impacted India's economy. And that is why the demand from the rural areas couldn't be such. The government has to formulate certain policies. Most of our agriculture is based or related to only monsoon. We do not have irrigation facilities at most of the places, in most of the places. So the government has to do something about that. There is the risk for the winter crop sowing known as Rabi. And it is due to shortfall in the reservoir levels. The reservoirs couldn't be replenished because of erratic rainfall, and this is very less. Other than this, experts also believe that upcoming festivity season could give certain relief for quarter two. Now, at 7.8%, India has remained the fastest growing major economy because China's GDP growth for the similar quarter was just 6.3%. We are getting better. The agriculture sector has recorded a 3.5% growth, which is more than 2.4% in April to June quarter of last year. Growth in the manufacturing sector has accelerated to 4.7% in the first quarter of the current fiscal, which was 6.1%. So this sector has gone down. Keep this in mind. India's nominal GDP or GDP at current prices, that means when inflation is not adjusted, in quarter one of fiscal year 24 shows a growth rate of 8% as compared to 27.7% in Q1. Okay. So GDP is what? What is GDP? GDP is the value of goods and services that are produced in a geographical extent of an economy for a specified period of time. Okay, so remember the concept of GDP. And what lies ahead for India is that the growth rate is expected to be moderate. It's not going to be too, positive. It's going to be moderate, going to be, very stable because of the El Nino effect. And our economy is mostly an agricultural economy right now. That is why it is important for us to take into consideration El Nino as well. There is also weakness in mining output and sluggish exports. So the government has to do something about giving incentives to exports. Specifically for manufacturing, we had PLI, production linked incentive scheme. We have many other schemes to ensure that manufacturing capacities increase. But we also have to ensure that exports happen. But exports are, sluggish because of the Ukraine in Russia-Ukraine war and the current situation that that the entire world is facing because of El Nino. There is a possible slowing in the momentum of government capex, capital expenditure. Capital expenditure, because the Lok Sabha election are going to be there, so we have to ensure that the private sector increases its weightage in the investment. So policies have to be formulated with respect to it. Today is the last date to take the advantage of Raksha Bandhan sale. Use the code PD Live on any course that you are taking. For P2I, it is going to become 27,999. These classes started from 23rd of August, okay? And whatever you may have missed, if you take admission today, then you will get all the classes in the recorded version from tomorrow onwards. If you take admission today, like before 6, then it's okay. Then after 6 from tomorrow onwards, you can get your classes on a live manner, okay? So make sure you use the code PD Live. That's it. Thank you.